So how did you get to be the most influential social media man in India? I should be interviewing you.
We'll
do that. We'll do a small video.
Sure, definitely. That'd be great. Thank you so much. I started as a blogger, and then I saw these platforms evolving, and I saw social media has a bigger influence on people. And the questions people want to ask, relate to, are mostly asked on social media, not on blogs or YouTube. So I decided, jump on those platforms. So I joined Twitter in 2009. So one of the first few Indians to do that. Yeah. And then the journey just went on, and it's been like a great journey. And thanks to support from you guys, IBM has been a big player, because obviously I get exposure when I get to your events, cover those, and then the clout obviously gets higher and better. And
I'm glad we've helped provide kind of content. How do you feel? We're here discussing data and security. How do you feel about that important debate in India?
So I think it's really important, because as always, people say that data is the next oil and the biggest resource we have now. And who I am right now is because of the data, because of all the data I had and I shared with people. So it's a big, important factor for me in my life as my career also. So obviously, this is the biggest deal right now.
But do you ask everyone for permission to share their data?
We have to. That's important. That's really important. You have to have that credibility. You have to have that authority, and you have to take permissions, because as somebody mentioned during the course of the conference, that data is like oil. It's the next oil, but as oil leaks, so does data. And that's data breach, and we have to be very careful about it.
And do you think that Facebook, who's currently employing you for this, has done everything in their power to stop the exploitation of the data of others?
I don't think so. I think otherwise, because I think, they obviously say that they're doing their best, but I feel that, even if I'm having conversation with my friend on WhatsApp, which they say is encrypted conversation, but I see those same ads showing on all the platforms they own. So obviously there's a big leak there.
Work to do, work in progress. But I'm glad you have the value set that you do.
Of course, yeah. So first of all, welcome to the Unbiased blog, and it's really a pleasure to be talking to you.
Thank you. Thank you.
First, my question is, IBM is one of the leaders when it comes to AI, ML, or machine learning, or cognitive, as we call it. How matured is Indian market, and when it comes to adapting these technologies, what kind of traction do you see across Asia Pacific?
Well, I think one of the most exciting things that came out of the summit this morning was the Honourable Minister really talking about building upon the point that Arvind Krishna made, that this is the kind of revolution that doesn't require billions of dollars worth of investment to benefit the country, its citizens, etc. So this whole data AI transformation is one that India is uniquely positioned to take advantage of. And we regularly, as I think you know, do very detailed studies with hundreds of members of the C-suite to really understand how enterprises are thinking about data, about augmented intelligence, about blockchain, etc. And in this particular study, it's called the IBV Cognitive India Study, across 18 different industries in India, 10% of the respondents said that they were totally ready, fit for purpose, to take full advantage, be a first-time mover, had already POC, trialed these capabilities, and very importantly, had the roles and skills ready to bring new products, new services to life through digitization, through data and AI. I think that's hugely exciting, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely. And the IBM Watson playing a big role in it in all platforms of life. That's really important. And I think I have personally experienced IBM Watson at like various points of my life when it was in the very nascent stage and where it has come today. And I think it's playing a really important part in all these AI, cognitive, and machine learning.
Well, yeah. I mean, you're a little young, I think, in the sense that we've been developing Watson for almost 5 decades, and this is how much research and how much investment goes into these types of incredible platforms. But the thing that I'm also really excited about is how augmented intelligence, so man and machine, coming together to improve customer satisfaction. You know, Bank of Baroda with the great new bot, which is way more effective and way more powerful in the job that we've asked it to do. And I think that's the kind of the neat unison that, you know, man and machine are more powerful together than each on their own. And so I think that's exciting. And here in India, the other piece that I think is amazing is, you know, how many young people, I mean, India is the youngest of nations, but how those acquiring the skills and putting them to work in the early stages are our youth. And that's also great for the country.
On that point, I would like to ask, like, people fear that machines will sometime take over humans. Do you feel that, or it's like never going to happen?
So I think if you look at the major technology changes or the major shifts that have happened, you know, the Industrial Revolution and then the early stages of telecoms and distributed information, everyone has talked about, you know, technology being the destructor of mankind, and that hasn't been the case. Now, I know I'm representing IBM and we tend to be relatively technology optimistic, but the data totally supports that. Throughout the periods of, you know, mainframes and then into PCs and services, and now this incredible period of cloud and the augmented intelligence, we see that jobs are hugely affected. Pretty much everyone's role and work will be affected, but not job destroying. That new jobs are created as man and machine together do some of the existing work better than alone. So we are very optimistic, and we, you know, we're reaching 1 billion people from a Watson perspective. I think there's multiple thousands, like 80,000 different user cases with Watson at the core of improving customer satisfaction, improving efficiency, manufacturing, Watson at work, helping doctors make better diagnoses with oncology or genomics. And these are very, very exciting times.
So true, very true. Your most recent role with IBM is now to look after the Asia Pacific market. How has your journey been so far? If you can share it about the IBM India and Asia Pacific, how important it is and how crucial market it is for IBM overall.
Yeah, so this is a relatively new role. I started in January, and, you know, always IBM constellates around the client. So a great deal of work across the 14 different countries that have very, very different industry sectors, different client needs, and really understanding how IBM can best assist them with the digitization, the use of data to really grow. And many of these companies are the incumbents. They are companies that have 80% of the world's data. Only 20% of the world's data is searchable. The rest belongs to those who create roaming algorithms that collect the data of the clients that they have served for decades. And so really getting into the hearts of those clients, what are the problems that they're trying to solve, and how through the cloud and augmented intelligence we can really help them, is very different in Korea than it is in India, or indeed Sri Lanka, or indeed Australia. So it's very, very rich, very diverse, some great innovations, whether it's here in India, I talked about the Bank of Baroda, at SBI, as we develop out the most amazing digital capabilities for mobile-first clients. The Bombay Stock Exchange, where we have very, very superb security using blockchain to ensure that all of the data is safe, and amazing work with governments. The big Australia whole of government deal, where the Australian citizens will benefit from great aspirations by the Australian government to be the third or fourth most digital government in the world, as they draw down the needs that they have around quantum, blockchain, AI, and the cloud. So these are very exciting times if you're with good tech.
Absolutely.
And because, you know, this whole discussion around data is about, you know, you want to be on the right side of history with this. IBM, you know, 108 years old, is used to making those choices and really has proven since the data revolution started at the advent of computing that the data, our clients' data, is theirs.
Yeah.
We don't use it, mine it, sell it, create this amazing knowledge graph to tell everyone else where it is and competitors what is happening. We provide complete transparency that any use of that data to produce algorithms or to help AI with its work is understood by mere mortals like myself and our clients, and that we partner together, hence the big data summit today, to really walk that incredibly important line between security for your data, that, as you heard the Right Honourable Ministers today talking about, you know, seeking permission for every piece of data that is available, protecting that data, but not stopping the amazing flow of information that has put India at the center of IT services for the globe.
That's true. That said, how supportive has been the government in these initiatives? Because, you know, they are always saying that now we want to have a digital India, and this is how the Prime Minister Modi's vision has been to, you know, put India first in the roadmap for information and technology. So how supportive has India been in terms of, you know, supporting IBM as a company or, you know, digital initiatives?
Well, I think, again, you heard one of the ministers talking about, you know, 98.2% or some extraordinary 90s number, people filing their taxes digitally in this country, an entirely digital census, and voting. And IBM is a partner wherever the India government wishes us to provide the technology, the experiences, and the support. And you saw at the very start of our summit that this work, this summit today, came out of the meeting that our CEO and chairman of the whole group, Ginny Rometty, and the Prime Minister Modi in February to talk about how we use AI to help with the Prime Minister's health initiatives, how we help to further digitize the use of blockchain and quantum in future activities, and then, of course, this critical issue of skills.
Correct.
How do we help young women, young men, develop the skills that IT needs now and not at the end of a rich PhD? How do we ensure truly inclusive environments for the lifetime of a young woman or a young man as they develop their career with us, supporting the citizens and government's needs? So I think, you know, we have been in India a very long time. We're celebrating coming back in for 25 years, and we've been a partner and a supporter of most of the initiatives to bring real prosperity, not just data prosperity, to Indian citizens.
Since we are at the India Data Summit live today, tell us a bit about the India Data Summit. Like, why is IBM India hosting it, and why is data becoming increasingly important for all the organizations?
So we're hosting this summit today because when our group chairman and CEO Ginny Rometty and the Prime Minister met in February, they agreed that we should bring the voices of government, the voices of enterprise, the voices of citizens together to really hear and understand the critical issues of the debate. The debate that ensures privacy, as the minister said, that has been deemed by the Indian Supreme Court as a basic human right. The privacy of the information and the data, but to enable India to keep the free flow of data as Indian workforce, so skilled and so capable, is at the sort of vortex and epicenter of many global initiatives. So the purpose is to hear the voices, to really ensure that the debate is fueled by real insights, by real life information, bringing the great and good together to decide the future.
Thank you so much. My last question to you is, prior to this, you were heading a very important portfolio for IBM, which is like IoT business. Now tell us about how IoT is gaining momentum around the world and a bit about IBM's work in this field.
Well, I feel that our last minister on the stage, he just sang out IBM's work in smarter cities in IoT. It was phenomenal to have him say that we scored 10 out of 10, that he was delighted to see the dashboard that was able to demonstrate everything from congestion, pollution, all of this data from all of the sensors. And in fact, his greatest concern on that Smarter Cities visit was only that the many women who are leading this project, who are gathering the data, were not wearing their crash helmets when they went home. So I'm going to applaud all of those women who work on our great IoT projects to wear their crash helmets when they go home on their scooters.
Thank you so much. So, I mean, any last message you want people to, say it out for our followers and subscribers and viewers about the summit?
Yeah, I think that we all have a responsibility to think very, very carefully about our data, our information, our settings, and how that information is shared, how that information is monetized. Governments have a responsibility. Enterprises have a responsibility. IBM is very clear in its good tech stewardship of data. But everyone in India needs to think about their own data, their own settings, their responsibilities, and their views on this very, very important subject.
So true. Thank you so much. It was my pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you.